Good morning, YouTube. I didn't necessarily plan to make another video for another couple days because I wanted to see if my first video picked up a little traction. However, life happens and I feel like it's necessary to make this video. Being a small YouTuber, I understand that I have to use hashtags and eventually thumbnails that will gain attention to get my videos to gain traction on the platform. I fully acknowledge that and I accept it. However, it's my responsibility to choose hashtags and thumbnails that represent me in as positive a light as possible. And I realize that anybody who I end up impacting through my videos, they're going to take what I say as gospel. I don't necessarily want that, but I realize that there are impressionable people out there. It doesn't matter what age they are. I know people that are my age that are still very impressionable. And I think that's just kind of human to be impressionable regardless of your age. That being said, the whole mess that happened with Logan Paul, I personally, I don't have any desire to watch any of Logan or Jake Paul's content because it doesn't appeal to me. Not to say that they're not good content creators, it just isn't something that interests me. And I think that is a lot of what we need to acknowledge in the community, especially with this situation happening right now. You have to understand who your demographic is. Me being a new YouTuber, I know who I want to reach out to, but I don't know who is going to end up finding my videos organically and being impacted by them. So it's like you can reach out, you can have somebody that you intend to reach out to, but you also don't know who else is out there that is going to be drawn into what you're creating and putting out there. I wasn't going to make a video about this, although I had been thinking about it, but I feel that for the betterment of the YouTube community, it's necessary. I obviously am an American. I've never been to Japan, although I would love to go. I realize that there are different customs in different parts of the world. People live differently. And that's just how I think humans survive. But it's also how we connect, because I think if everybody was the same, it would be boring and we would have no reason to socialize. Growing up and in the decades that I did, mostly in the 90s, we didn't have the internet. The internet existed, but it wasn't available to the public. It was mostly governmental, and it was used to communicate with the governments of different countries, or at least that's my understanding. That being said, there are a lot of people who I've heard say in the last probably 10 years that they're so happy that they grew up in a time where the internet was not constantly around, because they were allowed to mess up and learn from their mistakes and move on. And people that were involved remembered, but they didn't have that split second, judgment call that, they wanted to, oh my God, put it on the internet. Back to my first video when I said that one of the reasons that I started YouTube was because of the influence of Philip DeFranco. There are many times that Phil has said in his early days that there are videos that he has put up that he absolutely just looks back and goes, why? Why did I do that? I think if you approach YouTube rationally and responsibly, it's a way to look back and see how you've progressed and how you've grown. Now, as it stands right now, I'm 32 years old. I am 10 years older than Logan Paul. I know at 22 that I did not have the rationale or the personal responsibility to be able to influence anybody responsibly. And I think that if I were in a position at that time, it would have taken quite a lot for me to find my footing, especially with how quickly you get picked up on the internet. Child stars of the 80s and 90s, they now talk about how they didn't realize how a split-second decision catapulted them into being a household name. Now, I can't really say that there are too many people that are internet famous are household names. They have their communities where they are, known to that level. But household name has taken on a different form in the age of the internet, and it's just a whole new beast. But it still essentially has the same impact. Logan Paul, I think, needs to really look at his demographic, and I think he needs to understand that the stuff that he puts out on his channel is absolutely going to impact his viewers. And I think he acknowledged that in the video that he made. But I still don't think he understands the age range of his demographic. They are, I want to say 9 to 15, something like that. It's scientifically proven that your brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. As I said, Logan is 22. And, that's... It's not to say that that's an excuse for him to do what he did, but it's also, if you have the right people around you, it's something to think about in who you surround yourself with. And I believe that you need to not surround yourself with people who are going to always coddle you and, approve of everything you're going to do. They're not doing that for you. They're not doing that to better you. You have those people around, and you essentially are their paycheck. And that's what they're there for, because I can guarantee if that paycheck wasn't there, they wouldn't be there. So there's a certain level of trust in your viewers that you shouldn't have in the people around you, because your viewers are going to be there, and your viewers are the ones that are going to go to bat for you. And how you portray yourself is how your viewers are going to portray themselves in going to bat for you and being an extension of you. Your inner circle and those who help you put out the content and show your ability to your demographic, they're not always there for that purpose. They are there because they see dollar signs. It is just natural within humans. So you need to really decide who you trust and who is there with the same heart as you for what you're doing. I think what really compelled me to do this video was the response that Raina Scully gave. Now, I don't claim to know enough about Japan to speak about it. There are certain tidbits that I know here and there, but I don't claim to know enough about it to be educated. I did not know about the Aokigahara forest until I saw a video of Jacqueline Glenn's. Jacqueline went in there to do a documentary of sorts on it. And so I knew of it when this whole controversy with Logan started. And knowing Logan, knowing how I've heard people speak of Logan in the community, I knew that it probably wasn't going to be something of the same nature as Jacqueline's video. Seeing how Logan's fans have reacted to Raina, to Jacqueline, to basically anybody that has voiced an opinion that does not support Logan. Logan really needs to put a video out there and really try to connect with his audience, because he is their influencer. He is the one who they look to as a way to be, because they don't have that fully formed brain yet to be able to rationalize things themselves. Now, he also has to understand that kids at that age look to entertainers to influence them because their parents either are not involved, or these kids don't want to listen to their parents, especially when their parents have to discipline them. So I don't think it's wise for Logan to approach it from a disciplinary standpoint, but I think he needs to come across in his own way and be stern with his fans to say, this has got to stop. You need to take stock in how you want to be seen, how you want people to see you. And I know if I were back at the age of his fans, that I wouldn't listen to my parents. Well, I'm probably not a good example because I've always had a good relationship with my mom. But I instinctively, probably at that age, I probably wouldn't have fully listened to my mom if she was trying to discipline me, because it was something that I probably would have just brushed off. But now kids have the escape of the internet, and when they get mad at their parents, they can just go to the internet and look for something that's going to make them forget about the frustration that their parents are causing them, and they're going to be able to find somebody who is not approaching them aggressively. So I think the trick is, don't approach them aggressively, but make sure that you get your message across, because these kids need guidance. And I know a lot of parents are finally waking up to what their kids are doing online. I think this whole incident was a wake-up call for them, and I'm hoping that it causes parents to become more engaged with their kids and aware of just exactly what is out there. Now, Logan is not dangerous to anybody, but he's got to understand that the way that kids interpret the content that he's putting out there is, nobody's going to interpret it the same way. Some of these kids will try to emulate Logan, and they may put themselves in danger, and they may do things that they can't come back from. In Logan's apology online when he did the video, he said that he doesn't expect to be forgiven for this. I think there is forgiveness if you show remorse and you show an initiative to kind of repair the wounds, not repair, but kind of repair the damage that you've done. Unfortunately, with the video, me personally, this is just my opinion, I understand he was reading from a script, or may have been reading from a script, so that he did not kind of go off on a tangent. I understand that you have to do that sometimes to collect your thoughts. Hell, I was doing that in my first video. So I understand that. But there's also a level of emotion that you have to have in your voice, in your facial expression, and in your body language that projects that image that message, correctly. And he was very stiff. His eyes were very, very bug-eyed. And it just seemed to me like he was doing it not of his own volition. It seemed very much like he was doing it under duress. Almost like, I know this is going to sound horrible and people are going to, rip me for this. If you remember some of the ISIS videos that were put online during the early campaign when the U.S. went over into that territory, the people that ISIS captured, they forced them to make videos, and you could tell that they were saying things under duress that they wouldn't normally say. But you need to get behind what you say. You need to get behind what you do, and you need to own that. And I don't think that Logan fully owns what he did. Actions speak louder than words. So Logan's actions, I realize putting a video up is considered an action, but I don't think his words were enough in that action to convey any proof that he was remorseful for what he did. Because as people have said, he edited the video, he saw the footage, and he chose to put it up. And that goes back to not having the full wherewithal to be able to discern that that's not right to put that out there. I think we as a community have learned a lot from this incident, and how we have to be more self-aware, and we have to be aware of who we're reaching out to and who we're going to impact. And if we have to change the way that we approach something to appeal to a different age group, then we have to do that. You have to adapt. And I hope that in the long run and in the short term, that this causes Logan to kind of grow up a little and learn to adapt to his surroundings, and learn to adapt to the fact that he has that young of a demographic that doesn't know right from wrong yet. He's got to look back on his time at that age and realize that he didn't have the ability to distinguish between right and wrong back then, because he was being influenced by people in the entertainment world back then. So, to those who've been affected by this, I think everybody on some level has. Just make sure that going forward, you're putting the right message out there, you're putting content out there that you're not going to regret 5, 10, even maybe 1 year after you put it out there. The thing that I think was an empty gesture, Logan had taken the video down, which I'm to understand that it may not have even been his choice to do it, but he decided to do it because of the backlash that it got. You have to understand that the things that you do now, someone's always going to have a device that can instantly put your actions or your words on the internet. You do not know what's out there. So you really need to have a heightened level of self-awareness, and you really need to decide how you want your world to view you, because it's extremely important. And I think it also shows how you view yourself as well. Life is not easy, and you're always going to have challenges. It's just one of those things that you've got to accept, but you've also got to be aware of. And if you're a social media influencer, if you're an influencer of any sort, you have to be strong in your message, you have to believe in your message, but you also have to understand that your message is going to reach more than the demographic than you aim for it to reach. So you have to make sure that what you're doing, what you're saying, can be interpreted by people of any age, and it's something that they can react positively to. Because Logan's fans right now are not reacting positively to any of this. So I think that he really needs to get out there and be stern with them, but he needs to believe in that message that he's sending to them. He doesn't need to create content for them to be entertained by. He needs to come out and he needs to send what my generation would have seen on the TV as a PSA, a public service announcement. He needs to really do that, and if it's scripted, if it's raw and unscripted, it doesn't matter, but he needs to be behind his message. And I think that's the only way that we're going to go forward from this, and the only way that he's going to be able to save face on any level. Like I said, this was not necessarily the next video that I wanted to go up on my channel, but I felt that it was necessary. So with that being said, there will be another one coming soon as a continuation of my strip down challenge, to just talk more about who I am and why my channel exists. But this was just necessary because I think his actions impact the community as a whole, because it makes people around the world who may not be as familiar with YouTube, it makes them look at YouTube in a negative light, not just Logan Paul. It affects us all as a whole, as a family, as a group. So you're not just representing yourself when you're a content creator, you're representing the community as a whole. And I think that's important to remember going forward into the new year and beyond. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. I understand that this video, because of the content, is probably going to be the one that ends up maybe going a little bit more viral than I really want it to. But if the message gets out there, then I'm happy with it. So I will see you guys soon. I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. Just think with your mind and think ahead of the game. I'll see you soon.